Palm Beach, Florida, the setting might have been elegant, but what really turned heads were the words coming out of Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin and general manager Omar Khan. During the NFL owners' meetings, the two took center stage, offering the kind of insight that's got the entire league buzzing. And yeah, it all starts with one name, Aaron Rodgers. Now, before we dive deep into everything, let's just be honest. If you're a Steelers fan, this offseason is starting to feel different. There's an edge in the air, a kind of anticipation that's hard to ignore. Tomlin and Khan weren't just giving press conference fluff. They were dropping hints, nodding at possibilities, and keeping tight-lipped just enough to make everyone wonder if something big is about to happen. One of the biggest storylines that emerged from their talk with the media revolved around the quarterback position. Tomlin made it clear that the team knows exactly what it's doing, or at least that's the impression he gave. When asked about Rodgers and the timeline surrounding his future, Tomlin smiled and said there had been conversations. But he didn't reveal much more. Just a smile. And that smile? It said a lot more than words ever could. Rodgers has been working out with DK Metcalf in Los Angeles, posting videos, staying in shape, and clearly staying involved. That's not the behavior of a guy ready to walk away from the game. Add to that his interactions with players around the league, and it starts to look a lot like a man preparing for one more ride, maybe his final one. And where better to ride than in Pittsburgh, under the leadership of a coach like Tomlin, with a franchise that's hungry for another Super Bowl. The belief right now is that Rodgers has some kind of informal understanding with the Steelers. Nothing on paper, nothing official, but enough mutual interest and behind-the-scenes discussion to suggest he's seriously considering donning the black and gold. Whether the decision comes in 10 minutes or 10 weeks, the feeling is that Pittsburgh is in a strong position. It's not just a hope, it's a vibe. Omar Khan reinforced that during his session with the press. He said the team always starts camp with 4 quarterbacks, and right now, they've only got 2 under contract. That leaves room. That leaves options. Free agency, trade, draft, all of it is still on the table. But if you read between the lines, the writing points to a veteran. And not just any veteran. It's clear Rodgers is the top target. But just in case things don't work out, names like Kirk Cousins and Ryan Tannehill are floating in the background as contingency plans. It's also worth noting that Khan emphasized the importance of finding a long-term solution at quarterback, not just a short-term rental. Rodgers may be the guy who gets them to a championship, but he's not the future. He's the bridge, and they know it. That's why even while they pursue him, they're scouting heavily for younger talent. One name that keeps popping up in media circles is Jalen Milroe, even if he wasn't directly mentioned by Tomlin. In fact, the coach made a point of referencing several big-time college programs, Texas, Notre Dame, Ohio State, but not Alabama, which, if anything, only adds fuel to the speculation. Why leave Alabama off the list? It might be strategy. Maybe they're trying to keep interest in Milroe under wraps. Maybe they don't want the spotlight pointed in his direction just yet. When a team avoids naming a player everyone's already whispering about, sometimes that's the clearest sign of all. Because if you truly weren't interested, why not just say the name? Still, the sense is that quarterback won't be the team's focus in the first round of the draft. At least not if they land a veteran like Rodgers. With so many other areas needing attention, running back, defensive tackle, maybe even the offensive line, burning a first-round pick on a rookie quarterback doesn't make a lot of sense. But hey, never say never. If we were to put a number on it, the chance they actually take a quarterback early wouldn't be 0, but it's not high either. Maybe 15 to 20% at most. Enough to keep things interesting, but not enough to bet the house. Shifting gears to the wide receiver situation, things are getting really exciting. DK Metcalf's potential arrival has fans fired up, and for good reason. This is a guy who changes the way defenses line up. He forces double coverage, alters safety depth, and creates space for everyone else. It's not just about his own production. It's about how he elevates the offense as a whole. His ability to stretch the field, dominate short routes, and block effectively makes him a true WR1. And with someone like George Pickens lining up alongside him, we're talking about one of the most dangerous receiver duos in the league. Now, some people out there have been speculating that Pickens could be on the trade block. But from everything we've seen and heard, the Steelers aren't even entertaining that. The coaching staff knows these two complement each other. One brings brute strength, the other brings size and agility. Together, they give the Steelers options that most teams can only dream about. Pickens can still play deep, he can slide into the slot, and now that he's no longer the sole weapon, he'll face softer coverage. That means more explosive plays and fewer forced targets. All of this, of course, depends on the quarterback who's throwing the ball. And that brings us right back to Rodgers. His presence would instantly raise the ceiling of this offense. With his experience, arm talent, and football IQ, Rodgers could turn this team into a legitimate contender. Not in a few years, but right now. The urgency is real. The window is open. The Steelers aren't just building for the future. They're aiming to win now. But it's not just the quarterback and wide receivers that matter. The offensive line has been a work in progress for years, and this might be the season it finally comes together. Tomlin spoke openly about the investment they've made in young talent, from tackles to guards, and the expectation that this group takes a step forward. It's not about bringing in more players at this point. It's about developing the ones already on the roster. They've drafted heavily on the line in recent seasons, and those players are finally healthy and ready. One player, who was a high pick but missed significant time with injuries, is expected to take over a starting role. Another, who's been groomed for the right guard spot, will get his chance. And a third, who played tackle in college and was taken in the early rounds, is set to slide into that left tackle position. There's optimism, cautious but real, that this group can become a strength instead of a liability. Now let's talk defense, because that side of the ball has quietly become just as intriguing, especially when it comes to the interior defensive line. There's a philosophical shift happening in Pittsburgh. Traditionally, this defense has featured a true nose tackle in their base 3 to 4 looks, anchoring the middle and eating up space. But with the way offenses are spreading things out, going fast, and running more sub-packages, that role is evolving, and fast. Tomlin didn't come out and say it directly, but the writing's on the wall. Around 80% of defensive snaps are being played in nickel or dime these days. That means fewer traditional fronts and more four-man lines. In those sets, you've got 2 edge rushers on the outside and 2 interior linemen holding it down. And based on how the Steelers have built their depth chart, it's clear they feel comfortable without a pure nose tackle on the field at all times. Still, that doesn't mean they're ignoring the position. They've made it known they're looking to add another defensive tackle, someone who can help right away, but also be part of the plan for the next couple of seasons. Because let's be real, some of the veterans currently on the roster probably won't be around in 2 years. The team knows it. They're planning for it. That's why there's a strong belief that the Steelers will target a defensive lineman in this year's draft. It's just a matter of when. And then there's the free agent they just picked up. The coaching staff spoke highly of him, especially his ability to read run plays and hold the point of attack. He's not going to be a dominant pass rusher, but that's not what he's here for. He's here to plug gaps, stop the run, and be that steady presence in the middle. The kind of guy who might not show up in the stat sheet every week, but who makes everyone around him better. With him in the mix, and with a potential rookie coming in to develop, the defensive front is starting to take shape. Back to the bigger picture. This roster is being built with one clear goal in mind: win now, while also laying the groundwork for long-term success. That's a tough balance to strike in today's NFL, but the Steelers seem committed to pulling it off. Bringing in someone like Rodgers signals urgency. Investing in the offensive line and wide receiver depth shows foresight. And looking to solidify the defensive line with both experience and youth proves they're thinking 2 steps ahead. Even when talking about draft strategy, there's a clear awareness of what needs to happen. The team isn't in desperation mode, and that's a good thing. They're not chasing big splashes just for headlines. They're building something stable, piece by piece. Every decision, from who they bring in to who they pass on, is part of a larger vision. And honestly, it's refreshing to see that kind of discipline in a league that often rewards chaos. Of course, it's not all guaranteed to work. There's still questions. Will the offensive line stay healthy? Can Rodgers still perform at a high level? Will the new wide receiver duo live up to the hype? And can the defense adapt quickly enough to modern offensive trends? But here's the thing. The pieces are there. The foundation has been laid. And with Tomlin at the helm, this is a team that refuses to settle for mediocrity. What stands out the most from this week's conversations in Palm Beach isn't just the strategy. It's the energy, the confidence. Tomlin looks like a man who knows something we don't. Omar Khan sounds like an executive with a plan he actually believes in. There's no panic, no scrambling. Just a calm, calculated approach that suggests the Steelers might be one major move away from becoming a true powerhouse again. And that move, that final piece of the puzzle, might just be number 12 himself. Aaron Rodgers, wearing black and gold, running the huddle at Acrisure Stadium, feeding DK Metcalf on deep posts and George Pickens on sideline fades. Can you picture it? Because if the tone from Tomlin and Khan is any indication, that vision might not be so far-fetched. For now, it's all about timing. Rodgers has his own clock. He'll make a decision when he's ready. But make no mistake, the Steelers are ready too. They've set the table. They've built the core. And they're positioning themselves to strike the moment Rodgers gives the green light. This isn't just off-season noise. It feels like the setup for something bigger. A turning point. The kind of moment fans look back on and say, that's when it all changed. And if that moment happens in the next few weeks, don't be surprised if it sets the stage for a Steelers resurgence. One that starts now and echoes through the rest of the decade. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The rumor mill is buzzing, and the speculation is heating up as reports suggest that the Pittsburgh Steelers are setting their sights on one of the NFL's brightest young quarterbacks, Joe Burrow. With a storied history of success, the Steelers have never shied away from making bold moves, and this potential acquisition could be the most daring of them all. But what exactly is behind Pittsburgh's interest in Burrow, and how could this seismic shift reshape the future of the franchise? Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals star quarterback, has cemented his reputation as one of the most calm and collected players in the league. Known for his impressive resilience and nickname Joe Cool, Burrow led the Bengals to their first Super Bowl appearance in over 3 decades. His ability to perform under pressure, combined with his remarkable playmaking skills, makes him a highly coveted asset. However, despite his personal success, Burrow's 2024 season has seen some struggles with the Bengals, leaving room for questions about the team's long-term direction. The Steelers, who have been in search of a future-proof quarterback since the retirement of Ben Roethlisberger, are reportedly keen to explore the possibility of bringing Burrow into their fold. The move would not only provide them with a proven leader, but also send a clear message to the rest of the league that Pittsburgh is serious about building for the future. With Burrow under center, the Steelers could reinvigorate their offense and potentially contend for another Super Bowl within the next few seasons. What's more intriguing is the timing of these rumors. Burrow recently signed the largest contract extension in NFL history, securing his place in Cincinnati for the foreseeable future. However, with the Bengals facing challenges in their quest for consistency, the Steelers' pursuit of Burrow could be a calculated move to capitalize on any uncertainty. Pittsburgh has a rich history of navigating complex negotiations, and they could offer Burrow a fresh start in a system built to support his talents. While the idea of Burrow in a Steelers uniform is still far from reality, it is a tantalizing possibility that could change the dynamics of the AFC. If the Steelers manage to land the young quarterback, it would mark a new era of football in Pittsburgh, one that blends the franchise's storied past with a bright future. The coming months will be crucial in determining whether these rumors are more than just smoke, and if Burrow will indeed make the jump to one of the NFL's most iconic franchises. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.